So you're thinking about moving to Los Angeles? Did you know that Los Angeles is ranked number one in homelessness? Today, I'm going to be teaching you the 10 reasons you should not be moving to Los Angeles. Stay tuned. Welcome to my channel, Living in Los Angeles. My name is Theus. I'm a local real estate broker here in Los Angeles. And my passion is teaching folks just like you all about the city of Los Angeles. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you would like to watch more videos and learn more about moving to LA. Now, every single month, I help all kinds of people from all over the world relocate right here to Los Angeles. So if you or someone that you know is interested in moving to LA, feel free to reach out. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me, you can look in the description below, and you can even schedule a one-on-one Zoom call. So today we're going to be talking about 10 reasons that you shouldn't move to Los Angeles. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is a really tough video for me to make. I'm born and raised right here in this city, and I love my city. I've traveled the world, and honestly, I always can't wait to come home. So this is a tough one for me, but I get it. There's a lot of things that could definitely be a turnoff about the city of Los Angeles, especially if you're not from here. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'll be giving you my perspective as somebody that's been here my whole life. Now, one of the things you do want to understand is that here in LA, about 30,000 people from all different parts of the world move here to this city. That sounds like a lot of people, but the thing you also want to know is that 15,000 people every single month move out of Los Angeles County. So that tells you something, right? And what it tells you is that LA is not for everybody. So today we're going to be talking about the top 10 reasons you probably should not live here. Reason number 10 is going to be LA culture. You know, LA is definitely a town that has a certain culture to it. And here in LA, there's a lot of things that go on and different attitudes and different demeanors from the people and the residents that live here that you might not find everywhere. Like perfect example, and this is true because I've seen this because when I've traveled other places, I'm always shocked to see the opposite. And that's that people here in LA are very rude. We're very rude to each other. It's very common. You'll be somewhere, you know, you could be at a bagel shop or you could be at Starbucks and you'll be standing in line and it's pretty crowded. This is a really crowded city and no one's talking to each other. No one acknowledges each other. No one says hi to one another. This is just a part of LA culture. And I really never thought it was a problem until, like I said, I started to travel to other places and see that everyone's friendly and people talk to you and say hi to you and generally care about you. Here in LA, people are very self-driven. They're focused on themselves and they are not thinking about you. This is definitely a city where if your car breaks down in the middle of the street, everybody's just going to drive around you and keep going on their path. No one's going to get out the car and help you, right? So if you're from a place where people are friendly and very helpful to one another, that is not this city, and you need to be ready for that because it's very real. And so the culture here in LA is very self-centered. Everybody's about themselves. Everybody's about their own come up. Most people, when you're at a party or a gathering and you are talking to someone, the first thing they're going to ask you is, what do you do? Everyone's concerned about, who you are, because a lot of the people here are concerned about status and knowing people that are in, high positions and celebrities and things like that. And that's very true. I cannot deny that. That is a very real thing. A lot of times you know, eardrop and hear people talking and they're always name dropping and talking about who they know and things like that. So that's a really big part of LA culture. All right, so reason number 9. Reason number 9 is going to be that LA is a very spread out city. It's huge. Literally, I'm going to put something up on the screen that shows other cities in America and how they all fit into the LA County basin. It's a really spread out place. It was designed that way by Mr. Huntington, who was one of the founders of Los Angeles. He purposely built it that way because his uncle was building the railroad that came from the East Coast to the West Coast. And so he purposely designed this city so that you would have to take the railway all over the city when LA was first founded. And so because of that, it's a sprawling city. You have all these different like neighborhoods that are really spread out all over the place. And because of that, it could take a long time to get from one part of the city to another. And ultimately, what ends up happening is that everybody in their community just ends up staying in their community. So let's just say you live in Santa Monica. You're probably not going to be going to Pasadena a lot. And Pasadena is awesome. It's an awesome little town. And you might even have friends that live there, but you probably won't see them very often because it might take you an hour and a half to get to Pasadena, even though it's roughly 10 miles away from Santa Monica. So it's a very spread out city. And of course, we're going to talk about this later on, but we have really bad traffic. So it kind of makes it when you're here, all you want to do is stay in the same place and you just learn how to live in the community that you're in. And every now and then you might have a gathering or you might have a work event or something like that where you have to go to other parts of LA and you'll battle the traffic to get there. But you know, if you don't feel like getting into traffic and all of that stuff, then you're just going to stay right where you are. And so that's definitely something that you have to keep in mind when you're moving here is that obviously you have Hollywood, you have Culver City, like I said, you got Pasadena, you got the Valley, you got the beach cities and things like that, but they're very far apart from each other. So definitely something that you're going to want to keep in mind before you move here to Los Angeles. All right, so reason number 8 is going to be poor public transportation. LA really does, for a major city, it has really bad public transportation and they're trying to fix it. They've been working on this probably for the last 15 years. It takes them forever to build a new system. I've seen in the last 15 years, though, it's improved a little bit. We have a lot of new railways that are coming to Los Angeles. We have the brand new K line, which kind of runs through the center of the city down the Crenshaw corridor, and eventually will connect people to the airport. But the biggest issue you have with public transportation is that it doesn't really take you exactly where you need to be. Like I said, LA is a very sprawling city, so everything is very spread out, and public transportation doesn't really help you with that. It'll put you in the general vicinity, but it won't help you get exactly where you need to be. And so if you're coming from a city where you have great public transportation, you got to understand that here in LA, you are not going to have that, right? Also, our public transportation tends to be very dirty. A lot of people feel that it's not very safe, and it isn't. I've seen all kinds of things happen when I used to take public transportation when I was a teenager, and I got some crazy stories for you guys. And if I meet you in person, we'll talk about them. But yeah, it's not very safe. It's very dirty, and it's just not something that you really desire to do here in Los Angeles. So you got to understand that if you come from a place where public transit is how you're going to get around, that's not true in LA, and that's why 90% of Los Angelinos drive their own cars. All right, so reason number 7 that you probably shouldn't move to Los Angeles is we have a very aggressive traffic culture. One of the things you got to understand about LA is that we've been ranked one of the number 1 worst traffic places in the entire world. So we already have horrible traffic. On average, you're going to spend 2 days of your life in your car just going from place to place here in Los Angeles. So it's really bad. And it's all hours of the day. When I was a kid, Los Angeles had rush hour. Not anymore. All day, it's traffic. If you want to try to get, a little bit lower traffic, then you can travel between, I'll say, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. And then right when 2 p.m. starts, I mean, you're sitting bumper to bumper. It's almost impossible to get anywhere. So you got to understand that. Now, what comes along with that is the traffic culture. And what you have to understand in LA is that it's very aggressive. I think we're also ranked number 1 in road rage here in Los Angeles. So people are always cussing each other out on the road. People are always cutting each other off. No one really obeys traffic lights. So in one sense, it's kind of dangerous. Depends on what part of the city you're in. Some parts of the city are worse than others. I'll be honest. South LA is notorious for that. So if you're driving through South LA, you got to really like drive very defensively and cautiously because people don't always obey, traffic lights and stop signs, and that makes it dangerous. But the other part, on top of that, is that people are just really aggressive. They'll honk their horn at you in a minute and just lay on the horn. They'll cuss you out. People get out their cars a lot. So, it's a very hostile environment when it comes to traffic, and that is a very real thing. Being here from Los Angeles, I'm used to that. But, when I go to other cities, I don't see things like that. And if you're coming from someplace else, you definitely want to keep that in mind. LA definitely has a very aggressive traffic culture. Got to know that before you move here to Los Angeles. All right, so reason number 6 to not move to Los Angeles is we do not have 4 seasons, right? So Los Angeles, for most people would say, has really good weather year round. On average, our weather, even in the winter time, our weather ranges between, like, at nighttime, it may drop down to like 49 degrees, and then in the daytime, it could get up into the 70s. And so, 70 degrees is a very, moderate temperature year round here in Los Angeles. Because of that, we technically are in the desert. We don't really have 4 seasons that you have in other parts of the United States. So if you're somebody that loves to have a winter season, a spring season, a summer season, and a fall season, you're not going to get that here in LA. Literally, our trees are confused. Our leaves do not fall off in the fall. Depends on what kind of tree it is, for the most part. So yeah, you don't really get that. There's people who I've met and clients I've had, and that's definitely something that it's really important to them. Is having 4 seasons, and that's something that you really don't get here in Los Angeles. Our weather can also be kind of unpredictable, and what I mean by that is that, like, technically speaking, we have what's called high diurnal variation, and what that means is just that the difference between the daytime temperature and nighttime temperature is more than 20 degrees, right? So yeah, that happens all the time. So you can literally have an 80-degree day here, and then at nighttime you're going to fall down into the 60s. Or sometimes you may get up and you'll put on a sweater because you look outside and it's kind of, we have that onshore, gloom that comes in from the ocean. And then, a couple hours into your day, it's, almost 80 degrees. You thought it was going to be cold that day, turned out it's going to be hot. Then, now you're trying to take off all your warm clothes. And then, if you stay out until the evening time, then it's going to get cold again. So definitely we have unpredictable weather, and we don't have 4 seasons. And if that's, having steady weather, something that's important to you, and if you're somebody that really does pride yourself on living throughout the 4 seasons, LA probably isn't the right city for you. And so reason number 5 not to move to Los Angeles is homelessness is out of control. Man, this has become a really big problem, I would say, in the last decade. Homelessness is out of control. Supposedly, we are ranked number 1 in homelessness in the entire country. And I get it. If you're going to be in the streets, then you might want to be in a place that has good weather year round. But it's really sad to see, the plight of these people is tough. And you see it everywhere. There's no neighborhood in LA that's immune to it unless you live in, like, a really fancy gated community. You're going to see it outside your gates, but when you go inside your gates, you probably won't see it, right? But it's tough. It's everywhere. It's gotten worse since COVID has happened. We do have a new mayor here in Los Angeles. It's funny, we just had a mayoral race last year. Both candidates ran on the exact same, thing, which was they're going to end homelessness in Los Angeles. Um, Karen Bass won the election, and I will say, since I've seen her take office, I've slightly seen a bit of a cleanup. But it's a tough situation, because we're dealing with human beings here. We're dealing with the movement of people. And throughout history, moving people around is not a positive thing, right? So it's a very sensitive subject, and I'm happy I'm not the mayor, because this is very hard to deal with. But she's slowly cleaning it up. They're slowly starting to move people out the street and coming up with different programs. But it's really bad. You see it everywhere. You can literally be shopping at a really high-end location in a really nice part of town, and when you step out that store, you're going to see tents and homeless people, and just people who are just completely down on their luck. So that's something that you definitely need to be prepared for. Okay, so reason number 4 that you probably don't want to move to Los Angeles is that crime is going up. Now, back in the day, we always heard about how Los Angeles has always been depicted as a, high crime place, a place where gangsters live, lots of gangbangers and things like that. And what's funny is that that part has gone down. So in the last, I'd say, 15 years, you don't see gangs as much, even in, like, South Los Angeles and, like, Watts and Compton. It's a lot more working class families living in those neighborhoods now. So gang violence is down. I guess the police figured that out. but we're starting to see a lot of other types of crimes here, and mostly it's not violent crimes. We're starting to see a lot of theft happen. So there's people, if you subscribe to like your Ring camera, or if you're on the neighborhood app, all day long you see posts coming in for people who got their catalytic converter stolen. Some you can see on someone's Ring camera that the people are walking up to your car in the middle of the night trying to open your doors. People are breaking windows and stealing things out of your car. People are breaking into people's homes when they're there and when they're not there. So we're starting to see a lot of things like that that are on the rise. As you know, since COVID, there's been a lot of political things going on with the police department, and because of all of that, there's definitely starting to see crime on the rise. So it's definitely something that you want to be aware of. We're moving to Los Angeles. When I was a kid, I would say certain neighborhoods were, had better crime than others, and that's probably still true. But I feel like generally all of Los Angeles is experiencing those type of, especially those theft crimes. I lived in Marina Del Rey for 12 years, which is considered a really nice neighborhood here in Los Angeles. And I had so many things stolen from me during those 12 years out of my car and things like that, bicycles stolen, things like that. So compared to other parts of the city where I lived in South LA for a very long time, and I never really had things like that happen. So crime is on the rise, and I don't know that the city really has any plans to do anything about it, but it's definitely something that you want to know before you move here. All right, so reason number three that you may not want to move to Los Angeles is that the city generally is pretty dirty. Most parts of Los Angeles are really, really dirty and filthy. You'll see guys just pull up in trucks and just dump trash right on the street, and it doesn't get cleaned up for a long time. It's a big responsibility for the city to try to keep it clean. We do have a weekly street cleanings on most streets in Los Angeles, but it's just like a truck that rolls by and like barely sweeps up the curb. But there's not really a lot of things in place from the city that goes around and cleans up. And for some reason, there's this whole like ring of people who just dump things all over the place on random blocks, on main streets, on back streets, and alleys. It's just trash everywhere, and it doesn't really get cleaned up. Now, some neighborhoods are better than others. You do see it in every neighborhood, but like perfect example, Beverly Hills. You don't really see a lot of that. You just don't. Beverly Hills does a better job of keeping their streets clean. Culver City, I would say, also does a really good job of keeping their streets clean. But other parts, especially things that are in LA City, that are covered under LA City, you see a lot of that. Absolutely. Very dirty streets. Santa Monica is another city that does a really good job of keeping their streets pretty clean. But Santa Monica, every single morning at 5 a.m., they have a whole crew that goes out, especially in the tourist areas. They literally power wash the sidewalks daily. So they actually spend quite a bit of money on keeping their streets clean. LA and city of LA does not do that at all. So we've definitely seen, really since COVID, a fall off from that department in the city, and the streets have definitely gotten worse. So as you drive around LA and see all the historic things that the city has to show you, you're also going to be looking at a lot of trash. All right, so reason number two for not wanting to move to Los Angeles is earthquakes. I watch other videos that people made about reasons not to move to LA, and no one talked about earthquakes. I couldn't believe that. Earthquakes are real here in LA. Seriously. At any time, there could just be an earthquake. You don't know. And that's the thing. There's no warning or anything. You're just sitting there chilling, having a good day, and then the whole house starts shaking. And I'm personally very affected by the 1994 Northridge earthquake that happened here. That was one of the largest earthquakes that happened in a very long time. In Los Angeles. It was 1994. It was a long time ago. I was a kid, but my whole life literally changed because of that earthquake. My house got reg tagged. We ended up, my mom did have earthquake insurance, so she ended up having the place repaired, but we had to end up moving to West Los Angeles from South LA. Then from there, we moved to Venice. So my whole life trajectory changed after an earthquake. So for me, earthquakes are a big deal. They happen all the time. They really do. Not all the time. I would say on average, like every 3 months, you're probably going to experience some type of an earthquake here in Los Angeles. So that's about how frequent they happen. Sometimes you might experience like two or three in a month, and then you might go like 6 months and you don't experience another one. But there's no warning. They can be very scary because when an earthquake is starting, you have no idea what scale that earthquake is going to be at. So when it happens, you're kind of like, you got to keep calm. You try to be safe. You go stand in the doorway. You do the things that you've been taught to do. But you also have to take in consideration, like, is this going to be my last earthquake, right? Because they can be very scary, and people have definitely died in earthquakes. So definitely, if that's something that would completely freak you out, then you got to consider that before moving to Los Angeles, because we have a lot of earthquakes here. Different parts of the city are actually sitting on earthquake volts. A lot of people don't know this. The city of Inglewood is sitting on a major volt, right? So at some point, that volt is going to be active, and that's just something that you need to know about before you move to Los Angeles. All right, so the number one reason that you may want to consider before moving to this city and why you might not end up here is the very high cost of living. Los Angeles is ranked number 4 in the United States for most expensive cities to live in. So here in Los Angeles, a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom apartment in a good neighborhood is going to run you about $2,400 a month. And in a really desirable neighborhood, you're looking at 35 to $4,500 per month for a 1 bedroom. That's very expensive compared to other places in the United States. Here we have the highest gasoline prices in the whole country. On average, you're going to pay between almost $5 and $6 for a gallon of gas. And I have a whole nother video that I created about the cost of living. You can find it right here, and be sure to check that video out. But I go into detail about all the different, things, food, cost of living, and I have a whole breakdown about it. So go ahead and make sure you check out that video. But yeah, cost of living is very high here. It's very expensive to live in LA. You pay a premium for all the great things that come along with this city, and technically all the bad things that come along with the city. You're going to pay lots of money to be here. So that's definitely something that you need to take into consideration before moving to LA. So today we covered the top 10 reasons that you may not want to move to this city. If you have any questions about anything in specific, please feel free to leave a comment in the comments below. I'll answer any comments that you guys leave down there. Also, if you have something that you don't want to leave in the comments and you just want some one-on-one about, then please feel free. You can schedule a Zoom call in the description below, or you can just give me a call or shoot me a text. I'm here for you. I would love to be your resource here in Los Angeles for any questions that you have about moving here to this city. All right, guys, that's all I have for today, and I will see you in the next video. See you later. Bye-bye.